today we're going to be talking about lifespan versus health span. So how to enhance our health span, so living better, not just longer. So we're going to go over the differences between the two, the importance of focusing on health span and how to improve it, and then give you guys some action items and kind of the top 5 or 6 things that you can do to improve that health span. Just in case you are unsure, the first thing is the difference between the two. So lifespan is just the total years lived, right? The health span is how many years we're in good health, free of risk factors, disease, that kind of thing. In other words, how many years are you actually getting fulfillment and quality years out of your life? And so that's what we want to get into today. So let's get into kind of the first thing of why health span matters. And Bethany, if you got kind of the statistics there.
Get the numbers. Mm-hmm. So the global average is that people spend about 9.6 years living in poor health at the end of their lives. So it's the average.
Yeah, what's the average age?
Is 78 or something, 77, something like that, roughly.
That's the average age that people live right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's about...
It's men and women are different.
Yeah, mid-70s for men. I think it's a little higher for women, closer to 80, probably for women.
Yeah. So generally, at the end of people's 60s is when things start to go south as far as their health. And in the U.S., it's worse. Gap widens to 12.4 years spent with chronic disease or disability. So that's even further back into the 60s. And so merely increasing your lifespan without the health span, it could prolong and an increased time in that disability or spending time with chronic disease and reduce life satisfaction. Just like if you increase your lifespan but didn't improve your health span at all, you could go from living with 12.4 years spent with disease at the end of your life to 20 years.
Yeah.
So even though you're living 7 years longer, you're living 7 more years of
pain.
And
not being able to enjoy it.
Not a good quality of life.
That's kind of scary to think about because, if the average age lifespan is, say, around 77, 78, and for the U.S. it's 12 and a half years of basically some sort of risk factor disease or poor quality of life, that's, 65, 66?
Mm.
Where
so
like
young.
Right after retirement,
that's really
you're going into a poor health and basically not being able to live life to your fullest and enjoy those last years of retirement and things like that. So that's why I wanted to talk about this because it's not just about how long we live, it's the quality of life that we live, right? The health span is really that quality life.
I guess that is right around the age of retirement, isn't it? Yeah, a little bit later.
My dad's going to be retiring at 66.
Oh, yeah. So
he's 65 right now. He'll be 66 this year.
Yeah. People always say, like, when you retire and you stop doing something, like, that's when you really start to decline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key you just said is when they retire, they completely stop doing everything. And that's when, boom, the health factors, kick in because you go from working and doing things to not doing anything. So that is the key is you've got to stay moving. You've got to do stuff in order to maintain your health. And that's why we talk about moving your body, exercising, lifting weights. You've got to be engaged in doing things in order to keep your health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have no excuse. They're retired. They got lots of time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at that point, it is harder to start. People have more barriers because of, they do have some other risk factors injuries, things like that. And it can be a barrier for people to start, but it doesn't mean that it's never too late to start, even if it is in retirement.
I mean, I have a client who's 2 clients in their 80s, and I would say the average age of my clients is above 50 at least, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they haven't been coming for that long. Most of them had zero exercise background when they started.
Yeah.
So.
Because that's when they realize they need it the most. Because
they're hurting
themselves or they're watching people their age, like
Yeah.
decline. And
And they're still seeing progress. Like they don't see progress that an 18-year-old would in a year and a half.
but they also, that's not what they want. They just want to be able to
Exactly.
keep up with grandkids or whatever
Exactly.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever seen that commercial where the grandpa's training, he's lifting the kettlebell up like that?
Yeah.
Did you have
I
brought
love
that up before?
Yes.
I feel like you
Love
have.
that
You sent
video.
that to
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah, and he's training to lift his kid up to put the star on top of
His
or his grandkid
Yeah.
Mhm.
to put the star on top of the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
That
Well,
just
I
reminded
mean,
me of that.
I'm literally
It'll bring tear to your
watching-
eyes if you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good.
I'm like watching this happen on both sides, the good health span and the bad health span in my family, Corey's family. You know, we have one set of grandparents who are actually older. Maggie and Don are going to be 80 and 85, and they are retired, but they have active lifestyles. You would think they're in their 70s.
Yeah.
And then the other set of grandparents, were just like kind of watching them go in the opposite direction, and it's really hard, but you know, they retired and didn't have that active lifestyle. And I mean, there's been cancer and other things that have kind of, maybe some things that were uncontrollable, I don't know.
Yeah.
But also a lot of things that they could have, you know, hopefully maybe been able to prevent some
Yeah.
things. And yeah, their quality of life is just nothing right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard for everybody involved, family members, and it's not just hard for them, it's hard for everybody. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
this is a big thing right now.
Yeah, and that's something that I think about a lot. Is like, you know, I'm 30. I'm gonna be 31 in June, and I can't imagine life without like my parents. And they're in their 60s, and they are in good health. But you know, I've gotten a lot of good years with them, but I can't imagine life without them yet.
Yeah.
And so, for a lot of these parents that we're working with kids that are 4, 5, 6 teenagers, like, this is the time to really take it serious and take care of yourself, because it's like, do you want to watch your kids go down the aisle? Do you want to watch them graduate from college and things like that? Because in today's society, it's scary out there with how many people in their 40s and 50s that are having heart attacks and developing diabetes. And, you know, we've had people right from around the Sandusky area pass away in their 50s, you know, with young grandkids or young kids, and it's just unfortunate. So, and that's all to do with your health span. You know, it's not. It's all about what you do with this time to be able to extend your quality of life, right?
Thanks, Brian.
Get back on.
Yeah.
topic
We'll
here.
go back on our to-do list for today. So, the age, what age does this decline start to happen? And this is quite shocking. Cognitive decline, certain cognitive functions, anyways, like processing speed, memory, that can be declining as early as late 20s or early 30s.
Wow.
So better stay sharp over there.
Yeah.
Early 30s, late 20s. We're so good. We're in the clear yet.
Yeah.
But more significant notable changes typically appear in the 40s for that. And then physical decline, your muscle strength, bone density, that typically begins decreasing more significantly around age 40. Although you pretty much peak in your 30s with the amount of muscle mass and bone density you'll ever have in your life. And then it'll start.
You probably don't really notice it. That
Yeah,
you
you don't.
You don't really feel much different until you get in like your 40s, right?
Yeah. And so this muscle strength loss, it's linked to high risk of disabilities, falls, mortality in older adults, especially, of like much more easier to break bones, things like that. But the big thing, they compared athletes in their 40s and like their muscle mass, and then in their 70s, like this triathlete, they did a muscle cross section MRI for it, and their muscle mass was exactly the same from 40 to 74.
Oh wow!
I've seen that. That's
That's
really
crazy.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
For somebody that just consistently
Yep.
trained for that period of time, that's awesome.
But then they compared it to a different 70-year-old, and the muscle mass was severely atrophied.
Yep.
It was so different.
Someone who didn't train.
Right, somebody who didn't train, somebody who was inactive. So it really shows, like, it's not just age, it's the inactivity that gets people.
you don't have to lose that muscle. Just because you're getting older doesn't mean that it's
Yeah,
That like
You're
you're
what
not
so
percent are-
automatically
inevitable.
gonna lose it.
Yeah.
You have to work to
yeah.
keep it.
I just did a body scan. I'm the most muscular I've ever been.
Whoa.
And you said it peaks in your 30s, right? So
Yeah, that's when it's like.
I got 10 more years to build as much muscle as I can.
Yeah.
And then just maintain it.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's my goal.
Next, some practical strategies to improve health span. These are all research backed, by the way. The first one, arguably one of the more important ones, is nutrition. And this stat here is that the Mediterranean diet's strongly associated with a reduced risk of chronic diseases, improved cardiovascular health, and longevity. There's other diets and stuff like that that also help with the reduced risk of chronic diseases. Getting 800 grams of fruits, vegetables, produce, like even just like beans and potatoes would count as this too. That also, it's like a 50%, 50% reduction at least of like heart attack risk, cancer risks, all-cause mortality, just by getting in your fruits and vegetables, just like they always told you when you were a kid.
That's right.
Imagine that.
Just eating whole foods.
Yes, eating whole
Apple
foods.
A keeps the doctor away.
Yeah, for sure. Anything to add on the nutrition part before we move on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Physical activity, regular, moderate to vigorous exercise significantly reduces the risk of all-cause mortality and extends both lifespan and health span. I just did a talk on this at the hospital, so I have some more stats that I can rattle off. So, regular, moderate exercise would be 150 minutes a week, which would even just be walking would be considered that. So, if you did 30 minutes 5 days a week, and then the vigorous exercise would be 75 minutes, so it's either or a combination of both. They also started including from the CDC and who is 2 days of resistance training as well for your physical activity measures. And only it's 23% of people meet these requirements.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are missing the mark on either it's the resistance training part or it's the total number of minutes of activity.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't have to be anything super strenuous, cardio, but even just walking would count with that.
So
I'm
walking,
glad that they brought up the resistance training because that what we talk about with muscle mass and atrophying, like comparing those two people from 40 to 70, that's what's going to be that difference maker is those 2 to 3 days of resistance training, to maintain that muscle mass and bone density for sure.
And then
real quick, you said walking is moderate
yes,
activity? Okay. Isn't it? So when I was learning it at
can be.
Delta, yeah, for sure. They had a heart rate range that you had to be in
Oh, the
for it to be
zones.
so I don't remember what zone it was.
Right,
but
zone 2.
I think so. It was 65 to 80 or something percent
Okay.
of your max heart rate, and that you had to be in that range for 150 minutes. So it wasn't just like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it might have changed, but like it wasn't just like
A leisurely walk.
it was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to sit there, but
What was the heart rate range?
I think it might not be perfect, but like 65 to 80%.
Oh, of your
Ish.
max heart rate.
Yeah, a percent of your max
Yeah,
heart
it
rate.
makes sense.
That's
You
zone
gotta
2,
get your
zone
heart
3.
rate
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
You have
So
to get your heart rate up somewhat.
Yeah,
to be
for example,
doing cardio.
Yeah.
if you're 40, your estimated max heart rate would be around 180.
220 minus your age. Yep.
So that's your max.
And then if you took 65% of that, 180, you're looking at about 105-ish beats. per
Yeah,
minute.
which for most people, if they're walking briskly, like they're easily
Right.
doing that.
Yeah.
So you have to be at least, for that person, you'd have to be at least 105 beats per minute for 150 minutes
A week.
to meet a week to meet that criteria there.
Mhm.
I had that just talking to the class in front.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Did you?
well, I can.
Yeah.
I'm just moving around a little bit,
Oh,
but yeah. So it's going to depend on the person, obviously, of what pace of walking is going to get you to that point. And then another key statistic that if you sit for more than 8 hours a day, the effects are similar as smoking 15 cigarettes a day on like heart disease risk.
Oh
Whoa.
wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Uh-huh.
Think about how many people sit for 8 hours a day at work.
Is that because of you're not elevating your heart rate at all?
Yeah, that's part of it, and then just you're not getting any blood circulation.
Yeah.
Because if you're sitting the whole time, that's where people get strokes too. If they sit a lot, that's what we figured happened to my grandpa. Because he was driving home from Florida, and he just like would drive for hours and hours, wouldn't get out and walk, and so then you get blood clots. The
Oh my
blood clot
God.
then moves from there and it'll like go up to your brain. So
I remember
yeah.
learning in college from one of my professors that like even if you work out every day for an hour, but you are sitting the rest of the day,
Mhm.
you technically have a sedentary lifestyle.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
only a very small percentage of your day you are
Mhm.
like getting up and moving at all. So you need to get up and go to the bathroom or just like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
stretch every once in a while if you do have a desk job.
Good news is, yes, you can reverse those effects of sitting for long periods of
Yeah.
time if you move for 3 minutes every hour.
Oh wow.
That's it.
That's it.
Easy
That's
enough.
great.
That's all you got to do. It's just I'll go move around, walk around, stand up, sit down from your chair,
Also,
do some
even
twists,
like
do some
a
wall push-ups.
standing desk if you're able
Yeah.
to.
Standing desk,
Can be a
fantastic.
life changer.
Your
Did you,
Apple Watch.
did you get yours set up yet?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you got one?
I love
Yeah,
my
yes, it
standing
is.
desk. Yeah.
Oh.
And I can put my little treadmill underneath there. if I want
Yeah.
to.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What you can do is drink more water at work, and then you don't have to go to the bathroom so much that you'll get your steps in.
Yeah.
Get up from the you
Yeah.
kill two birds at
Teachers
once.
used to hate me at school for that.
Yeah.
I'd ask if I could go to the bathroom like every 20 minutes because I'd be drinking so much water.
That might have been too much. You might have been flushing
Oh,
out
I
too much
definitely was.
electrolytes
Yeah,
there,
actually.
drinking like
I was.
You need more salt.
I didn't know it at
Yeah.
the time. That's
Yeah.
why I was cramping every football game.
You didn't have TH doing podcasts, so
No.
learn about hydration.
Oh,
Just want to have some scary statistics in there.
Yeah.
But next one, mental engagement.
This one I thought was really cool.
The consistent cognitive engagements or activities like puzzles, learning new skills, or socializing has shown benefits for long-term cognitive function and reduced dementia risk.
Yeah.
Also, lifting weights
Yeah.
for reduced dementia risk and Alzheimer's as well. For the brain, good for the brain.
So I mean, there's a lot of people that love to play cards, do crosswords, puzzles, that kind of thing. Like that's actually really good for your cognitive function.
Mm-hmm.
Playing board games, stuff like that, like challenge your brain.
Yeah.
One of our core values is basically to be like a lifelong learner, like
Mhm.
constantly be developing ourselves and learning new things. And I think that's part of why the cognitive decline probably starts in your 20s is because guess what? Most people stop going to school about 22 after college.
Yeah.
You're not
Mm.
learning something after that point. And so at the end of your 20s and your 30s, your cognitive function, because you're not challenging your brain as much. When you think about when you get into your normal routine with your life and your job, you're not challenging the brain as nearly as much as when you were in school or learning a new job or something like that. So we kind of get stagnant and things become automatic.
Yeah.
Your brain isn't challenged, it's not going to continue to develop, and that's where I think that would have to be a factor of it.
Yeah.
totally.
Um,
Yeah.
But it says just learning new skills
Yeah.
too. So it could be
Yeah.
a physical skill that you're learning, like playing a new game, like
Yeah.
pickleball,
Playing guitar.
playing
Yeah.
guitar,
Still haven't learned.
piano, learning how to sing, different things like that. Music music stimulates the entire brain or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, music.
Yep. Sing in the shower.
Sing in the shower.
Some other activities I can think of that a lot of people could do around here is like something like pickleball or ping pong or
Yeah.
cornhole. Like getting outside, you're kind of getting some activity, and it's great for cognitive function too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just other little things like
Reaction.
It's almost
you know,
baseball
yard
season.
games. Yeah.
Yeah, video games.
Yeah.
Fortnite.
Jeez.
Oh my god.
That's my new skill, man.
There's your cognitive
That's my
Yeah.
cognitive
function
function.
training right there.
My mom was playing. What's that game? Sudoku. Or,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
apparently, that is one of the best for your cognitive health. One of the best games
I could
of that
see it.
sort for your cognitive health.
It's
I used to
it's
try
challenging.
playing that.
Never
and I'm
played
like,
it.
I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with this.
Yeah.
Huh, anyways. Next one, sleep. Sleep's very important.
Very important.
So, very common number, adults achieving 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep nightly. They exhibit improved cognition, reduced risk of chronic disease, and better overall health outcomes. There's lots of going into sleep, but that's when your brain recovers. That's when your body recovers, mentally, emotionally, physically. Sleep is wonderful.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say on that, and I talk about this every time we bring up sleep, is for most people, just because of our lifestyle, our nutrition, the stress, most people don't get the deep sleep that they need to recover. So, in other words, you might fall asleep fine and you might think, oh, yeah, I got 7 hours, but it's more of a light stage of sleep. You're not getting into that deep and REM sleep, the different sleep cycles or stages. Your deep sleep is where you're recovering the body. The REM sleep is where you're recovering your mind. So the quality of sleep is more important even than the duration, and that's all going to be a factor of lifestyle. Your nutrition. If you're exercising or not, that plays a huge role in your quality of sleep. The time that you go to sleep, the time you wake, that kind of thing. So don't just focus on the duration. Try to start doing different methods or ways to improve your quality. For me, I like pitch black room, going to bed at a decent hour. So I actually have a bedtime, not just a wake time, to make sure I'm getting kind of my window, making sure I have white noise on, and then my phone's always on DND, so I'm never disturbed in the middle of the night. Those are some things that I do, anyways, to improve. I don't know about you guys, but
To me, I just pass out.
I need a
'Cause I
limit
get
on
up early.
caffeine.
yeah.
We were just talking
yeah,
about
no
that.
caffeine late in the afternoon. That would be definitely helpful.
Yeah. Like I was just talking
Alcohol
to my friend.
affects sleep big time.
Yeah.
What
Not
do you mean?
because you have all the stats on that. That's
Trying
not
to say
because you
something?
no, not because you
I'm
drink
a
all
druggie.
the
I'm not. I'll have an occasional glass of wine. I'm better now. When I was 21, I got a little crazy, but it's okay. All right, next one, stress management. So, chronic stress accelerates cellular aging, inflammation, and risk of cardiovascular disease. This was one thing that I don't think people take as seriously as far as their health. There's your fitness, your nutrition, their sleep, but then it's stress. Like, we know people that are stressed out. They seem stressed constantly, and that really does toll your brain and your body. Like the body keeps a score with that. So working on your stress management through meditation, mindfulness, or figuring out why you're stressed and then fixing it. It's like if there's a common theme of something stressing you out, like if you dread going to work every day, that's a lot of stress that you're putting on your body. So find something else to do.
Well, and speaking on that, it's like talking about all these different ways that help with health and stuff like that. Like a lot of people, when they're really highly stressed, it just drains them. They've got no energy left. They're super stressed. All they want to do is get home. But that's like the reason to do these things. Like if you do lack the energy, if you are highly stressed, like that's more of a reason to play games, like go outside, get some activity, go for a walk, lift some weights. Like all of those things dramatically help reduce stress and improve your mood. So it all ties together. Like all these things fit together. There's so many benefits that you're getting from doing each and every one of these little things.
Yeah. I think too that with stress, it's not so much that we have to like necessarily always learn how to get rid of it or like leave it behind us, but like learning how to deal with it and live with it. Like, because there's always going to be something there that we can't avoid. So learning how to move on in life with whatever your day, whatever, with that stressor, whatever it may be, and like tools of how to handle it, and not necessarily give it the energy of like trying to just shove it away, but like let it be there and be aware of it and like learn how to handle it, whether it's like breathing exercises or journaling or talking to somebody about it. Like we do that in our meeting.
The words you use, a big part of your just the mindset, because a lot of times we make the stresses in our life worse than what they actually are. We think about it constantly. It's in our head, and we all agree like when you actually do whatever is stressing you out, it's like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, or you know. So yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah. We always talk about in our meeting what our struggles are each week, and that's one of our ways of dealing with some of the stress that we've had through work, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, with that, like either do something physical, of like go out for a run, go out for a walk, go play a game outside, lift some weights. Physically, it helps to get it out if you have stress, or just to write it down. Not like you don't have to journal of like, oh, I'm feeling this today. It's like if you got something that's going on, write it down. Like write down what's going on, write out about it, write all your thoughts and feelings and all that. It's just way easier when you can get it out on paper and you can feel like you actually get it out of you. If you just think about it and you're trying to like sit there and meditate, for me that doesn't work.
Right.
Because if I'm just sitting there, I'm still thinking about it, even if I try to meditate. So it's easier just to like, get it out, get some sort of outlet with it. Last one, regular health screenings. So early screening and intervention helps to reduce your risks and complications with any sort of chronic diseases, which that extends your health span if you catch things early. Some other expert insights from Dr. Peter Attia. He's a renowned longevity expert physician, and he emphasizes the health span over lifespan. So making sure they're focused on proactive health strategies to add vitality, not just years to your life.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
He's got a good book too.
Any,
Yes, outlive. Yes.
Any parting shots on this, or
Shots. Oh.
or things that they could do? Maybe some action items.
Pick one thing
Yeah.
to focus on for the next. We're coming up to the end of Q1 of the year.
Yep.
So the first 90-day block. So next 90-day block, which would be like April, May, June.
Yep.
Focus on one thing to improve. Whether that's going for a walk every day or to make sure you do more vegetables every day. Like just one thing. Don't focus on all the things. Focus on one thing and execute on that 80% of the time for the next 90 days, and that'll make a big difference.
Love it. Not 100%, 80%.
80%.
Sustainability, consistency.
Yes.
I like it. Cool. What's one thing you guys could do better with all these? If
My
anything.
sleep,
Sleep?
caffeine.
Okay. So maybe you got your one thing that you're going to try for next
Yeah.
quarter to focus on.
Yeah, I actually already did.
Okay.
Started a little bit.
I'm running more. I'm going to start running more, so
Yep.
it'll be more
Yeah.
cardio.
Mine's going to be probably just getting outside.
Yeah,
When it gets warmer, getting outside and running. So kind of getting two birds at
Yeah.
once.
Mine will probably be some sort of different mental engagement.
I was thinking about that too.
I might do that too.
Yeah.
Playing
Play
a board,
Fortnite.
like playing games or something
Actually,
like
Corey and I played Yahtzee a week or two ago one night,
There you
and
go.
there's not a ton of skill in that, but there you do have to think.
Do you have
some.
bananagrams?
Huh?
Do you have bananagrams? That's a good one. That's not
But
a game.
I realized I don't
Never heard
use
of it.
my brain like that very often, so I was kind of like, oh man, I didn't even think to do that because I don't use so. Maybe something like
Playing
that
games
to get
or something.
myself
Chess.
just
There you go.
That's tough.
something. Yeah, I think that's what I'm working.
Well, cool. All right, guys. Well, hopefully you like the new setup.
It's good company.
And you got some value
It is.
from the episode. Just remember that it's not too late to start taking some action and doing some of these things. We've got a client that my mom's been working with for a couple of years. She's 94. She just started strength training with her probably 2 or 3 years ago. So it's literally never too late to start doing this stuff. You can make improvements. You can extend your health span, or you can start to reverse it. How many clients have we had that are type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic that have reversed that, and now they're no
Lots.
longer, they get
Getting
their,
off medication.
getting off medications, that kind of thing. So just start taking action. Hopefully this was valuable. Make sure you like and subscribe, share it with somebody, and we'll see you guys in the next one.